For a glorious, brief, fleeting moment in the mid-90s, after More Than Words and Silent Lucidity, but before the Rockefeller Skank and Smack My Bitch Up, British rock revivalism was at a peak. The release of Oasis's Definitely Maybe can be seen as the watershed album which started this fad off, and it consequently spawned a seemingly endless supply of followers and imitators. 1 year later, in 1995, the group followed up their first album with What's the Story? Morning Glory, and, well, really the rest is history on that. But we're not actually going to talk about Liam Gallagher or the British today. In fact, across the pond, there was a similar but distinctly unique movement happening in the US underground, antithetical to the grunge scene. While the first two Oasis albums were mostly similar musically to late-period Beatles records, namely Abbey Road and Let It Be, a small contingent of Louisianan musicians by the name of the Olivia Tremor Control made a record which took inspiration from essentially every Beatles record. Imagine a single album comprising tracks akin to I Wanna Hold Your Hand, She Said, and Revolution 9, but for 20 minutes and with airplane noises. While Oasis also took cues from a host of other British groups from the 70s, they didn't take many risks musically, at least not on their first two albums. The Olivia Tremor Control took influence from artists as left field as John Cage and Can to more popular acts like David Bowie and the Beach Boys. These influences, along with strange experimental tracks interspersed with pop songs in a 74-minute album, all out of place as they might seem to be when placed together, work beautifully together in sequence, a sequence called Music from the Unrealized Film Script, Dusk at Cubist Castle. You really can't get much stranger than that. The Louisiana group Olivia Tremor Control was formed in the late 80s by two high schoolers, Will Cullen Hart and Jeff Mangum, a name which you should recognize if you claim to be an indie music or lo-fi fan, you little poser you. Bill Doss became a new permanent member by 1993, and in 94 the group released an EP, California Demise. While Jeff left the group not long after this to create music solo as a massively influential Neutral Milk Hotel, Doss and Hart took a brief reprise for 2 years, before deciding to record an album at Pet Sound Studio in Denver, Colorado. This was the same studio that In the Aeroplane Over the Sea was recorded at, along with many other albums associated with the Elephant Six Collective, a group of underground musicians like those in the Olivia Tremor Control and Neutral Milk Hotel, mostly based out of Athens, Georgia. Importantly, all the groups in this collective were all influenced by psychedelia acts in the 60s, and in turn influenced each other in their own outputs into the late 90s. In creating their first album, the duo Hart and Doss gathered two more members, Eric Harris and John Fernandez, and gained additional input from a number of musicians, including Jeff Mangum again. The result of this large collaboration between many musicians who were likely mostly already friendly with each other was the group's 1996 opus, Dusk at Cubist Castle, which officially has a longer name that I already said earlier and will not be saying again because I always leave that part out in my mind and in conversation, and the title track is simply called Dusk at Cubist Castle, and I'm assuming you, the watcher, will understand the abbreviated version, so there's no reason to add on the music from the unrealized film script part, even though I just did it anyway. Due to the chaotic nature of what lies inside this album, especially as it takes a dramatic shift halfway through, I believe a very strong comparison can be made to the Beatles' White Album, as the idea of blending in pop songs almost haphazardly among experimental pieces is the concept between the two albums. This comparison is fair for the concept of the record, but truthfully its contents are even more varied. There are other musical references inside that pull from more than just the White Album, which we'll get to. As we begin to come up, we drop into the Opera House, the start of a possibly Velvet Underground or krautrock-inspired psychedelic emergence. It's an energetic entrance into what is really the world of Cubist Castle, which feels more like a real place as the record spins on. You can already hear the random effects, sounds, and noises that play throughout the track, which livens the whole thing up, along with the intentionally lo-fi degraded production of the drums and guitars in particular. Like the title track on Sgt. Pepper's or Back in the USSR, it's a rocking tune that serves as an energetic intro into the following musical movements. After a transitionary piece entitled Frosted Ambassador, the group plays for us Jumping Fences, their most popular song. Well, they don't actually play it live for us since we're not a live audience and we're not watching them perform live. Am I going too fast for you? Anyway, this tune and the one following, Define a Transparent Dream, are tuned something like a quarter step down and are all in A sharp or B flat, whatever, just like Strawberry Fields Forever, which is a clear influence on both songs. The tuned down guitars in particular are strikingly close to She Said, and the end solo on Strawberry Fields.
She said, I know what it's like to be dead.
Jumping Fences seriously sounds like it could be on Sgt. Pepper's or Magical Mystery Tour. The band captures the spirit and sound of that era of the Beatles perfectly, but stays original enough to call it their own. And for the pure joy it exudes, only the Beach Boys could reach this level of happiness in a song. Much of what I said about Jumping Fences, Sgt. Pepper's, and even Revolver era influence goes the same for Define a Transparent Dream. With Bill Doss's Lennon-esque falsettos and Eric Harris's Ringo Starr-inspired drumming, akin to Here, There, and Everywhere.
Making each day of the year.
And the guitar intro is literally just She Said. Speaking of essentially one-to-one intros, No Growing Exegesis opens with pretty much a portion of the Dig a Pony riff. And a similar riff is followed later during the bridge. Very Let It Be. It's great. This one has grown on me maybe the most of any of the tracks in all my many listens of this record. Structurally, I think it's wonderful. I love how focused on the guitar lines it is and how much of a true throwback to the 60s it is. Imagine if hippies were cool. This song is. Holiday Surprise 1, 2, 3, as the name suggests, is a movement in 3 parts. The first is the Sunny Days section. The second is an extended transition where the group slows down for the first time on the record. This second section builds tension for the hypnotic, flowy part 3, one of the best moments on this album, and actually not something I would compare to the Beatles. It's much more Can or Noi influence than anything, I would say. Then again, I think a metric ass ton of music sounds like it is too, but in my mind I'm always right about this, so who knows? You decide. Maybe you're less biased, as this one might be my favorite song on the whole damn thing.
Please, don't you ever change your mind on me. Don't you ever change your mind on me.
Holiday Surprise is followed by Courtyard, which sounds so much like a McCartney pen track like Got to Get You Into My Life, or Getting Better, or Penny Lane. The harmony on the chorus is a one-to-one McCartney-Lennon vocal harmony. They got it so right. It's a catchy little ditty.
You know that you don't.
Memories of Jacqueline 1906 is where the mood begins to turn before the gigantic suite of Side C. Supposedly, this song bears reference to the naming of the group Olivia Tremor Control, which Bill Doss stated was about the 1906 California earthquake, the deadliest earthquake in U.S. history, and how something through time and space, Jacqueline and Olivia are searching for each other. Like this video if you want more deep lore explanations like this one. I'm already working on the OTC iceberg, and the Beatles iceberg is on the way, and then maybe we'll look at the hippies one, but only if you subscribe. The chaotic underwater instrumental Tropical Bells separates Memories of Jacqueline and Can You Come Down With Us, yet another cool, trippy song with some strange instrument noises. followed by Marking Time, one of the group's earliest pieces, recorded first for their 1993 demo in almost unchanged form, just with a different ending. It's a very mellow tune with nice out-of-tune pianos and more trebly, high-gain acoustic guitar, very much like songs on Neutral Milk Hotel's first album, also from 1996, On Avery Island. Very retro, I guess you could say, but supremely original and not something you'd find many indie groups in the mid-90s doing, while grunge and post-hardcore were the new sounds of the underground. And now, so begins the Green Typewriter Suite, something which, even after being intimately familiar with this album for years, I still find myself wondering when thinking about it, did that actually happen? Does that really exist? It starts innocently enough, as the first several parts of Green Typewriters are actually songs, with words, melody, and music. The first song is Green Typewriters itself. The next one, spiritually, is The Stillness of a Sunday. And the last section, which can be called a song, is I Don't Want to Die Inside Anymore. Bizarre, surreal dialogue is had almost totally out of left field as the record transitions into another completely.
And that's it. I paint them green and red and 36 colors to custom mix.
About 10 or I don't even know how many minutes of musical concrete play out, and I really adore this ambient section. It feels endless, but if you know how it concludes, you know that the wait is worth the suspense. It's really hard to believe this suite exists. I mean that in an existential way. It's approaching a high plane of psychedelia to try and quantify it. That is, by shoving a long musical concrete section of sounds and noises in the middle of your ambitious 60s psychedelic pop revival album. The obvious comparison here is Revolution 9, which is no doubt a large influence on the decision to include this ambient extended sequence. It's nothing if not transcendent from the album itself and transcends reality. You're going about your day listening to a catchy pop album, and in the middle of it, the artist tests your attention and challenges the very content you've been hearing by adding an extended sequence of what may initially sound like nothingness. What is the point of this? Where is it going and when will it end? Am I being punished? Why did things change direction so suddenly? Like Revolution 9, the listener may become self-aware. He may be pulled out of the record entirely, and is bound to reflect on what has come before and what is happening now. This is the test. This is what's happening. Is this music or is it a dream? What is reality right now? And eventually, ending the endless, out of thin air, the Olivia Tremor Control speaks for you. They ask,
How much longer can I wait?
Just like that, the waiting breaks on track 20, and you're welcome back to reality with dueling Harrison-esque guitar solos and reverse cymbals, and for the second or third time, what sounds like the ending to Strawberry Fields. The only thing missing here is the cranberry sauce. Oh wow, I guess it really is all here. After this is a section which mellows the high and brings us all back to reality. What I instantly think of in my mind is, and bear with me here because only a portion of you may know this song, is Come Down Easy by Spacemen 3. Both lyrically, as here we hear When You're Ready to Come Back Down, and thematically, as both songs are at similar points towards the back half of the album. They explicitly signal the come down of the trip, and the soft, intriguing descent back into reality. Perhaps one day I'll talk more about The Perfect Prescription, because man do I love that album too. After waking up from this surreal sleep, Spring Succeeds is a sobering reminder that, oh yes, indeed, this was an indie pop album at one point. See, you forgot because of all those green typewriters, and also because you have the memory span of a Phodopus roborovskii. That means you're this hamster right here, bitch. With the short dual guitars in the middle of the track, I'm reminded of For You Blue, except this isn't the Beatles, it's OTC, you dink. Another brief interlude is followed on theme for a very delicious grand piano. I Can Smell the Leaves is the logical end of summer that was alluded to at the beginning of the album in Jumping Fences. Autumn begins and it gets colder, and we find ourselves leaving the sunshine and fun of the sun that the Beach Boys may have talked about and promised just once or maybe twice, and the leaves show change, just as we are now changed from having made it this far through such a wonderful, fantastical record. Right, Mark? Or Danielle? Or Steven? Or Adam or something? I don't know, whatever.
Here I can smell the leaves. Little by little it gets colder.
It's finally time. Some strange droning noises indicate it's finally dusk at Cubist Castle. In fact, dreams of the old wake up the new. And now we're here, and the day is turning into night, and we're calm, lazy calm, and the universe speaks to you, and it says,
Mark or Danielle or Steven or Adam or something, whatever. It's almost over. It's almost time for this event, and for you to receive your new mindset as a changed person for having visited the castle. Come back again because it's always open, and it's a record, so all you have to do is pick the needle up and then get the first disc and then drop it down on the A-side again.
Also, there's a motor on this track, which I need to mention now.
More noise ensues, and the audience applauses. And somebody in the right channel says backwards, the stretching of the vessel, erasing something, there but here, previous year. Where is the music? Has the sing or same effect something, or did I turn away? 3, 4, or 5. Synergy. Yeah, I don't really know. The penultimate track, The Gravity Car, has somehow a Ringo Starr vibe running parallel to a Suicide vibe, at least in the drum machine. Wait, did I just say Suicide on YouTube and not heckin' Unalive-a-side? Huh, I guess I did say Suicide. Let's listen to some Suicide now. This is Cherie by Suicide, a band.
Cherie, Cherie. My comical fantasy.
The Gravity Car is one of the more simple, childlike moments on the whole record, accompanied with the Pet Sounds-esque bass line, xylophones, harmonicas, a horn, and maybe like a toy piano or something, I don't know.
I peeked inside of your gravity car. Woke up all with marbles found in a barnyard.
Finally, we have NYC 25, a fitting, melancholy end to the perfect day. As heard several other times on the album, we have a delectable Let It Be or Abbey Road style riff. I'm thinking Don't Let Me Down or Get Back on this riff. And I've Got a Feeling right before the chorus. It's one of the catchiest tunes on the album, and it's impossible not to feel a little sad listening to it, knowing the gorgeous mindfuck of an LP that has preceded you for the last 70 minutes is now coming to a close in the most ceremonious way possible. Someone plays the wrong chord and says never mind, and decides that's it. A sobering end to a visit to a castle in the clouds. Well, beautiful people, that's about it. I hope you've about enjoyed our guided tour through the Olivia Tremor Control's Dusk at Cubist Castle, and hopefully we've all learned something here today. If you've made it this far, you must have learned something, otherwise this video has failed. That's embarrassing. I learned that this is one of the best albums of the 90s, maybe ever. What I didn't learn is that this is one of my favorite records of all time, because I already knew that.
Don't sleep too long.
I adore this album. I love everything about it. I love everything they did and all the weird, incongruent, strange risks they took and the balls they had to throw in what feels like an endless field recording into the middle of their masterfully done pop album. I want to make sure that you know all my Beatles comparisons in this video were not made to diminish the album or reduce it to a series of rip-offs. On the contrary, I think it uses these elements of influence and transforms them completely into something wholly original and fresh. It's bold, unique, and stands alone as a supremely inventive mid-90s indie masterwork. It takes the old and doses it with the new, creating a psychedelic world of mind-defying wonder, and, if I can go there, a little bit of magic. It's there in pure magic. Until next time, thanks for watching. Look how it's happened. Look how it's happened.